But let us be focused. 10 million people strong on the street in the morning. That's what we're saying. It is now 8:30, and that's where we are focused on to see our people on the ground, to see we on going on the ground in the morning, and that's the way to go. Aching, go ahead, then Risasi. Then Maju say hi. Good evening, guys, and thank you, Hillary, Dr. Miguna, for this platform. My senior, Machieng, and Council, and Kingsman ameongea nikasikia ni kama tayari I'm already getting angry again after the interview that Ruto put out yesterday, but we're going to be focused, 10 million strong. I'm just here to reiterate what Senior Counsel Dr. Miguna said when he says that we are beyond the point of talking to the government. And when he says that what we're doing is constitutionally right, I think let me just shed some background on maybe where he's coming from. So legally speaking, when a legal document is drafted, you have to look at the spirit behind that document. You know that law is an evolving creature, so you need to look at the spirit behind that document. And when the Constitution was being drafted, Article 1 actually just says the people may exercise their sovereign power either directly or through their democratically elected representatives. Guys, I need us to understand that we elected these people democratically to air our voices and concern. But at the same thing that I'm saying, the spirit of the document, if you look at the finance bill, the spirit behind it was not the one to tetea for the common mwananchi. This was the spirit behind it was the one for the IMF, the people who have their interests, and the tumbocrats themselves. So when the constitution was being drafted, they know this power is ours. They know the wananchi is supreme. They know that we are the ones who elect people into power. So do not fear. Do not fear. The Constitution envisages all these scenarios. We are not out of order. We are still within the rule of law. And if at all anything, we are using the utmost Article 1. There's a reason why it's Article 1 of our Constitution, because it's supreme. So let's not fear. 10 million strong tomorrow. Let's just come out and defend each other. We fight for our rights. That's all I have to say for today. Thank you so much, Etienne. God bless you. Thank you so much. Yep. Mobilize people. Tell them we're alive at the moment with Generali Mwenyewe at the moment. We are sharing the hashtag Ruto must go, make 10 million strong and secure our future and our country. Risasi, go ahead.
Thank you, Hillary. I think let me start by just reiterating what Dr. said yesterday. One of the things that came up was we are not going to get any kind of justice without removing Ruto in power. If Ruto is still in power, you will never get justice. And he gave so many examples yesterday. 2, protest works. So in that spirit, we should get out there and remove this guy. We didn't stop him from posting on the financial bill by going to the court or even through constitution. We did that by going to the streets, and evidence is there. If we are not sure of who we are dealing with, Ruto is a textbook definition of a dictator. And how do dictators operate? One of the fundamental characteristics of dictators is their decision-making process. Dictators make decisions through a very tiny cabal of advisors. You have a good example, Ndi and the likes. They make decisions through cronies. People are not even qualified. The likes of Farouk Kibet, somebody who doesn't have got even a job description. I think the best qualification Farouk is I don't know. I cannot even imagine, except being a friend to Ruto. And they do this through the aid of their parrots, the likes of Itumbi. Sycophants, the likes of Jaka Kimba, whose their role is to wake up in the morning, type what the president said, working for president on Twitter. That is what they do. Secondly, look at how he's trying to consolidate support. He has done this through churches previously, and I think people have realized that. So he has nowhere to run to churches. That is why when he hears people occupying churches, he gets agitated. He's doing this through trade unions. Look at the likes of Atuoli. Those are the people who are supporting him. He's doing this through hijacking political parties. Recently, he has already hijacked ANC to consolidate support in parliament. He's doing this through state machinery. Recently, there was proposals to increase salary for police, and these are just aimed to consolidate his base. So guys, we are dealing with the despot here. It's just a matter of time before we have somebody like Mugabe in the making. Other thing that is very, very much determined is control of key institutions. These are the army, the police, the civil service, state media, parliament. For now, he has control of parliament. There's nothing else you can do in parliament. Judiciary, the less we speak about it, the better. You know what happened, including swearing of judges is being done in State House, and this is the third arm of government. He's doing this through licenses, censorships. Recently, I saw KTN complaining that they were about to shut off their frequencies. This is a classic dictator we are dealing with here, guys. There's no difference between Ruto and Gaddafi or Ruto and Saddam Hussein. It's just like that Saddam Hussein who wears a counter suit. But otherwise, huyu ni Saddam. Hakuna tofauti. He's doing this through abductions. How many people were abducted in the course of last week? Arrest, dismissals, and now people are dying. There are murders. There are murders, disappearances happening all over. So if we remain with this guy in power, trust me, itakuwa worse than even before we went for this demonstration. So with that, please, let's not lose focus. The guy has to go, and the easiest way, suspend your constitution. Laws are made for men, not men made for laws. Kama ni mbaya, we can suspend the constitution. It doesn't have to be every time that sijui tutamtoa na katiba. Ruto si mtu wa kutoa na katiba. Nyinyi mlimuona jana na kama mtu wa kutolewa na katiba. He's not going anywhere. So if we don't remove him, then he will be stuck with us. Hiyo ndio contribution yangu, Hilary. Thanks.
Ubarikiwa sana Risasi. Asante sana. That's the spirit that we're going with. Thank you so much, guys. Keep networking together as usual. And we said that look at your right, your left. And we want to make this conversation go on. And now we want to know also your security. And Dr. said something yesterday that if you don't have spirit of revolution, don't go outside. If you fear death, then sleep. And when you don't fear, when you know that you are fighting for your country and you're going there, then you have to be very, very vigilant all the time. Levi, close your mic. Levi. Hatufanyi kazi hapo. Levi, hatufanyi kazi hapa hivyo. Funga hiyo mic yako. Asante. Mike, Maj, can you say hi? How are you?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you.
Yes, we can hear you, Maj.
Thank you, and thanks everyone. To those who are going to demonstrate tomorrow, I kindly ensure you demonstrate peacefully so that it is a peaceful demonstration. Of course, you know that things can turn out differently, but be on the record to be the one demonstrating peacefully. And I received a lot of information, inboxes of people who were asking me that they wanted to speak and they were from the ground. I'm here now. Keep those requests. I'm going to add you. And so that at least also your voice is heard. I really received many inbox messages. I just want to say that I'll be here just queuing in and ensuring that as many people as possible, especially from the ground, also get to speak. And welcome again, and thanks, Dr. for coming on board again. Back to you, Hilary.
Well, thank you so much. Brief. Go ahead.
No, Hilary, maybe before brief, guys, I've posted the article 1 of our constitution as Daktari was taking us through it. So if you see it on the message side, please retweet, like it so that it can reach out to as many people as possible. We need to get informed. We need this is the new kind of maandamano, and it feels good. You can even go tomorrow to the maandamano with your suit, umedunga, uko msafi, umepiga marashi, unanukia. Hata ule mwenye ambeba fimbo anashangaa sasa nimpige tiaga ama tu ni mheshimu. Yani the most beautiful demonstration ever in the whole world. Ruto is about to find out. Yani atakuwa hata askari watawaambia hapana, hao si wa kupigwa, wewe enda tu kanyaga kubwa. So tomorrow we are peaceful, tunajibamba. Kama uko na speaker, beba, tokea kwa street, enjoy your music, enjoy your drink, kunywa maji. He must go, man. Lazima aende tu. Yani lazima tu. I don't know if you're feeling the energy that this guy has to go. And we are so informed. Hakuna fala hapa. Some of us are not even interested with holding any public office for the rest of our lives. We just want a better Kenya. We do not want a country of chieftains. It's like that person who always wants to call you out for a drink and then he buy. He's buying every time. But when you ask him, bro, what do you do for a living? He doesn't tell you. So that is the kind of president that we have. Anataka tu kutubaia. Pana tunataka kila Mkenya aweze kujibaia drink. Wale wenye wakunywi wajibaie chai. Wenye maandamano is peaceful. We are not touching his brick and mortars. Hizo ajieke, apeleke Sugoi, wakakae huko na familia yake. Juu hakuna kitu inawafurahisha kama kuon buildings, kuon mavitu. Unajua mavitu tu. I think that is their goal in life. So achia Sakaja na dimple zake, mtu asiguze City Hall. Don't touch anything. Just be on the streets. Let's be there. All of us, as Daktari has said, 10 million strong.
Daktari, go ahead. I can see your mic.
Yes. Thank you very much. I wanted to say my intelligence actually tells me that City Hall was not banned by protesters. It was banned by Sakaja himself, so that Ruto could use it as the excuse to give that protesters banned it. And many places that banned, it is the tear gas that exploded, just like it burnt the police officer's hands, the one who lost both hands, the same way that it would burn anything that is flammable. So we cannot take blame for what they have done. We must not take responsibility for Ruto's thuggery. I am sure that today they are planning how they are going to unleash goons that will inflict harm on protesters. But one thing you must know about Ruto, because I know him personally, Ruto wants to be loved. Okay? In as much as he's cold-blooded and everything, he actually wants to be loved, to be liked, to be worshipped, to be praised. And he particularly likes that from foreigners, the foreign media, Washington, London, all these capitals of the West, because he suffers from low self-esteem. That's what happens with a lot of tyrants who suffer from low self-esteem. But he's a weak man. He's weak politically. He's weak mentally. You saw that he's weak psychologically also. He's not that intelligent. Because dictators who are intelligent would have answered questions properly yesterday. Would even have pretended. Ruto couldn't even pretend. He is worse than when Uhuru appeared during the BBI and everybody else had rejected it, or in 2017 and people had voted against them, and the Supreme Court ruled against their electoral theft. They threatened the Supreme Court, they threw tantrums, they threatened the people. They were completely without any control. That's Ruto. So the more we press, the more he has nothing left out of his arsenals. He has already used brute force. He's been abducting people. He's been killing people. He tried to seek sympathy, but people have told him, we are not listening because you are completely disconnected to what is happening. So tomorrow, he will not be able to do anything. I can assure you, he has run out of anything else that he can do. So the more we push him against the wall, the more we guarantee that he will leave. Finally, our security and safety is in our numbers. Let no one lie to you that your security and safety is staying home. The people who stayed home in Githurai the other day, or in Rongai the other day, some of them were shot through the window or through the walls of their houses. Some of them died just walking on the road. They kept away from the protest. But they came for you and killed you in the street. The same thing happened in the Maandamanos before they bought Raila Odinga. They killed people in their homes. So the point is this. You are not safe staying at home. You are not safe saying that you are going to watch this thing from bars. We are safe when we are many on the street. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daktari. And so, Sakaja, I know you're listening. The allegations weigh very heavy. So, because this is what is going to also make other demonstrators get killed. And afterwards, when we're asking for explanation, because I heard the word accountability being used. I don't know how people thought out, the idea or the fantasy of accounting for somebody who's died. They've died, they're not coming back again. But that needs clarification, Governor Sakaja, if you're listening, because that should not be the case. I think Brief Scoop was next. Over to you, Brief Scoop.
Asante much. And just want to reiterate, yes, the Constitution is a document. And while, yes, this process is within the Constitution, to Risasi's point, and to, I believe it was Achieng earlier, these documents are meant to serve us. We are not meant to serve them. And I want to ask Daktari, to that point, should we already be thinking about the future? What comes after this? Because I do believe that this is a foregone conclusion that Kenyans are coming out. We'll keep this up. We have to keep this up. Because actually, at this point, we have no choice. We've started this fight, and quite frankly, we don't have a choice. Retreat is not an option. So, is it too soon? Is it too early? Can we be discussing simultaneously what comes next? And to that point, does this constitution serve us sufficiently? There are components that do, but does it do so sufficiently? I think you want to already answer, so I will use that.
So, Brief Scoop, let me answer you quickly. I want you to go to my Twitter handle and read the document of yesterday. Please read it completely up to the end. And then digest it. Because your answer is there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daktari. Check what Daktari is posting and check all the things he's trying to answer other things on our Twitter handle. So you can get more answers on the same.
I actually posted it more than 3 hours ago.
All right. Nidi Joe, I see your hand, then Joe Karani, then Mwangi, then Levi. That way.
Yes, thank you for the platform. And asante sana Prof kwa kuwa available to give us guidance. Mine is to tell all the comrades heckle, because so far so good. Good work has been done. So I want to say this. So far we've seen these guys trying to do this thing we call divide and rule. And I'd like to urge each and every one of us who's listening here that don't be misguided, don't be intimidated, be fearless. This is a good cause, and we are fighting for our country. Again, we should continue pressing the hashtag Ruto must go. And he must go with his regime in its entirety. Again, we must also continue to press on the issue of the IEBC. As we go to the streets tomorrow, let's all come out in large numbers, because I am sure wherever we're headed is the right direction. We need to come out, because we need to show this thing is serious than it was last week. Finally, I'd like to say this. Everything that we are doing is because of our country. So let no one deceive you or intimidate you against standing up for your right. So tomorrow we say it's 10 million strong. Come out in large numbers. Let's do whatever we are supposed to do. But again, we insist on peaceful demonstrations. Let's shun things that may tarnish our name and our image, so that whatever we are fighting for, it's a good cause. And at the end of the day, when we approach it in a peaceful manner, tactically and strategically, we shall be able to conquer. So we are together in this, 10 million strong tomorrow. Let's meet. Thank you.
I think as because there are so many requests, there are so many requests that are coming in. I think we can stick. Remember our main speaker is Daktari, so most of the questions should go towards him, and you also now make a brief comment on how yesterday's presidential roundtable with the media made you feel. What was your feeling after the interview? How did you feel? Were you like empathetic to him? Were you like you can give him a second chance? And then when it comes now to the questions of how we'll tackle this, I think those ones, constitutional questions, can be directed to Daktari. Us will just be giving guidance on how we proceed. So please, when you get your mic, there are so many requests. Don't take a lot of time. At least 5 minutes maximum, guys. So after 5 minutes, we'll be ringing the bell on you.
Actually, Kingsman, we can reduce to even 3. 5 minutes we will not manage, like you said.
Three, yeah. I think 3.
Thank you. Back to you, Kingsman.
So, I've seen no one.
Levi was to come. Levi, Joe, Mwangi, then Yaradwen. Levi, Joe,
okay.
Mwangi, then Yaradwen. Go ahead, Levi.
Patriots, revolutionists, thank you so much for this platform and giving an opportunity for people to ventilate their ideas and their questions on this issue. I also pass my regards to Dr. Miguna for coming here to give some guidance. I'm an advocate also by profession and a student of different means of protest, and that's what I'm going to address. There are so many other means of protest that we've not included in our fight. We'll have to incorporate everything that is within our means if we are to succeed on the overriding objective of having this government resign or go down. I'll start by the notion of Gen Z. A revolution ordinarily is started by a group of people. So let us denounce the notion that this revolution belongs to Gen Z. I've gone to the street several times, of course, and you'd come back and people would ask you, are you a Gen Z? This is not a Gen Z revolution. This is a revolution that is started by Gen Z. For a revolution to be successful, all parties must come in, all generations must actually join this cause, and I'll actually be very happy the day I'll see a grandfather, a father, a son, or a grandchild all in the streets. I remember that was what was happening in Tahrir Square at the peak of the Arab Spring in Egypt. So let us make an effort to bring everybody on board. Let's bring all classes on board. Let's bring all ages on board. And that's the only way we can succeed in this cause. I'll also address the issue of walkouts. There are many professions in this country. Myself, as a lawyer, I had to adjourn my matter that is coming up tomorrow so that I can participate in the protest. I make the formal application today in court that I cannot attend a hearing tomorrow because of protest. For this revolution to succeed, patriots, we need to talk to every professional and pressurize them to start normalizing walking out of their jobs. Doctors at some point will have to walk out of hospitals at a specific time to show their solidarity to the revolution. I keep wondering, why are schools still operating normally? The teachers, they are a big number in Kenya who have a lot of influence in the villages. We have to find a way of incorporating them, let them walk out of the schools. Students were the first victims of Ruto when I actually tear gassed them with the intention of grabbing their land next to Weston. Students will also have to join the protest by walking out of schools and carrying placards in schools. So let us expand the scope of our revolution. Let us expand the scope outside the street to go to offices, to go to schools, to go to hospitals, and actually even to go to courts. Now, what we are doing is essentially in law, I'll call it civil disobedience. Civil disobedience is enshrined in Article 1 of the Constitution, as Daktari and other lawyers have talked about it. And someone has mentioned the Constitution serves humanity. The Constitution is actually a product of democracy. And therefore, the people have a right to go to the streets and exercise democracy directly. Something like nudity. At some point in this long journey towards this government, we'll have to invoke nudity, if possible, as a form of resistance, where on attack by the police, people in mass with a plan will have to strip so that any attack from the police is actually stopped by that specific means of resistance. I'll also address the issue of our revolutionists and comrades who are abroad. You have a role to play. Ensure that you mobilize Kenyans in cities across the world. As the Daktari has noted with a lot of precision, that should not be allowed. In foreign capitals in the world, it has started and it should continue. Let Kenyans stand up and tell the foreign governments that you are dealing with a dangerous person. Do not be lied by this person. It is also a high time that ICC is flooded with petitions from Kenya. That there is a war criminal, there is a person who is committing crimes against humanity on the loose. He has been your client before. He's back on rampage. Ensure that you send petitions to ICC. I'll be sharing that process. It's a very simple process, and everyone, not a lawyer alone, has a right to complain. That is what happened in Gaza, and you can see the results. Finally, the ICC actually is pursuing an indiction against Netanyahu and his accomplices. The same applies in Kenya. What is happening is crimes against humanity. And we have a role to proceed and petition the ICC to do the necessary. Comrades and patriots, what I'm saying in short is that pressure must come from all directions. The enemy is dangerous. The enemy is insidious. The enemy is sly. Let us take pressure from all directions to achieve the overriding objective of this government resigning from power or leaving power by any peaceful, legal way necessary. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wakili. Tumekupatia time mingi kwa sababu you were saying very, very good things there.
Hillary.
Then, yes, Daktari.
Hello?
Yes, Daktari, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Hillary?
Yes, Daktari.
I can't hear anybody.
Kingsman.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I wanted to say something very quickly. I think the contributions are very good, but I would urge us to remain very focused. Our agenda is to bring down the regime. It's not to disrupt civilians. Our agenda is to stop Ruto from his ongoing tyranny. It's not to make life uncomfortable for fellow Kenyans. So let's get that very, very clearly. If we are not targeted, then we can't succeed. So if somebody was to say that we are 10 million people on the street and we are targeting public spaces, say, for example, Arambe House, State House, any space where these vagrants stay or work or purport to work, that is legitimate. But I would be very careful about occupying a hostel that would be there to treat those that they have abused and assaulted and injured. Because we want doctors to continue working so that they can treat the injured so that they can preserve life. So those who are free can join us, but it can't be by force. We can't force anybody to demonstrate. We can't force anybody to protest. People would have to exercise their democratic right to stay away from the protest. That's part of the society that we want to build. There is no society we will create that is based on force. We will be replicating Ruto. We will not be solving any problem. So let's be very clear. We want to solve a problem, and our solution cannot imitate the problem. Our solution has to be better than the problem.
Thank you so much, Dr. for that clarification, which is indeed very important. We do not want to to the given given laws while expressing their rights. Hillary, whom did you cue next? Okay.
Mad, can you hear
Yes,
me?
I can hear you.
Oh, all right. I cue in Joe Karani, Mwangi, then Nyaragan.
Okay. Joe
Karani, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead, man.
A good evening to you all. About it by using illustrations. At the end of last week, there are two people who gave in to their selfish ambitions and derailed the conversation around the movement. I don't want to mention their names, but you know who they are, the music guy and the other car guy. They gave in to their selfish ambitions and derailed what we're doing for this country. And now I will use another illustration of somebody else who ignored the noise and just went ahead and did what was good for the group. And I can mention her name, Hanifa. We dragged her through the mud. We said all sorts of things about her, but she stayed on business and did what she had planned for that day, which was go to each and every injured Shuja or somebody, all the ones who had passed and had been killed by this Ruto regime, and take care of them. By the end of the day, we were already talking about the entire conversation around that whole thing was how Hanifa had managed to do what NHIF has tried to do and failed, and they're even creating something new, and it's going to still fail. So we need to really think in everything that you do, everything that you say, that tweet you're tweeting. Tomorrow when you're going out, be your brothers and sisters' keeper. Remember, just do what is good for the group and put away your selfish ambitions, because I don't want another situation where we're divided and conquered, because I fear Ruto winning, and this man cannot win. You guys saw him yesterday in that interview. Oh my God. He cannot win, and we cannot let him win. I know I've heard all of you, and I know each and every one of us wants a better Kenya, and that's what we're fighting for. So let's keep up the fight. Let's kesho see what 10 million. Let us fight for a better Kenya. Maze, that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Karani. We have several tweets coming in and some reports that all other counties, so many counties are ready, and young people are. There are many people. Some have now starting.
I can't hear anything.
Dr. Abiguna, can you hear me?
No, it's only now I'm hearing you. I was not hearing you before.
Okay. Let Hillary try to speak again, and then.
Dr. Can you hear me? I think that is
And
not
Maj, can
hearing
you let Kigame speak? I know probably he has not requested, but I see him in the crowd, and it would be important probably to hear his voice.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Let me send him the mic. And can you, Dr. Amiguna, can you hear Hillary as I bring on Dr. Kigame?
I can't hear Hillary.
Okay, Hillary. Dr. can hear you, but if you leave, the space is gonna drop. Let me see. Let me text you and see how we can proceed with this.
Dr. can drop, then come back. I think maybe that can work.
Okay, that's also possible. But Ruben Kigame, we would like to hear from you. Please pick the mic. Let me send you the mic. And so, as we continue, there's somebody has requested me to ask because there's a breaking news that Sakaja states that the demonstrations are not going to go on in Nairobi tomorrow. Is this because they have a flyer and then they have an Citizen TV logo on it? Please, let's take the next 5 minutes to confirm if that is true before we have somebody comment on it. Hillary, who is next?
Let's hear that. Mwangi, are you here? Mwangi, go ahead.
Thank you, Hillary, and everyone today on this space. My question, yes, I can see Dr. here. My question was to Dr. Miguna. Dr. I'm happy we are with you today. And we have realized that this war is not only about us. There are infights within the same government. And as our protest has always been peaceful, and I insist we have always been peaceful. Nobody is going to convince me otherwise, because I saw policemen shoot at shops with live rounds. So it is the police. And then there was also some people that came in later, and apparently these people had weapons. But I am sure those people are not Gen Zs. Now, to Dr. For the sake of protecting ourselves, because myself, I'll have to be on the ground tomorrow. For the sake of protecting ourselves and our young people, there is this infight that is going on between the president and his deputy, and also other people involved. I don't know. And you realize there are chances that maybe these other people, civilians with crude weapons, are sponsored. Right now, I'm seeing something going around on the social media. During 2023 finance bill or cost of living protest, they called themselves Nairobi Business Community. Today, they're calling themselves Nairobi Youth Business Community. And these are the same people who unleash war on I call it war on innocent citizens. Now, is there a way? Is there, being somebody who's on the know-how, is there a way we can identify ourselves without having been the target? Dr. Thank you. I'll drop my speaker so you can have somebody else.
Thank you. Yeah, please go on.
Yes, thank you. Nyaradwen, I understand what you are saying. Yes, we do have a problem, which normally in political science, they basically call elite fracture. So there are divisions within the executive, but that should not concern us. Those are their own problems. We should not care about their problems, and we should not focus on their problems. The people that were sponsored, the people that came with weapons, were sponsored by the same government. I believe these people were Farouk sponsored, they were Oscar Sudi sponsored, they were Ruto sponsored. I think they're using Rigathi Gachagua as a red herring. Rigathi Gachagua is not part of the protests. So they cannot bring him in. He's part of them. He's Ruto's deputy. He appointed him, and he's in government, and he's part of the problem. So let us not be diverted. I think that if we are all dressed the same, it's difficult because it's quite a large number, and some people don't have the ability to make T-shirts or to buy. But if we can, I think that dressing in white and black and green were the three colors that were chosen. And for people who can carry the flag, water, everybody should carry water if they can, because it helps with the tear gas. And then just stay together. Don't spread out. Spreading out opens up those who spread out as easy targets of attack. Because once you are alone, that's how they cornered Rex. Once they find you alone on the street, they can shoot you and there is no accountability. Nobody's taking pictures. Nobody can come to your aid. So as much as possible, let us be together, and let us be together in huge numbers that they cannot confront. Ruto is weak and down. Yes, they say that he's lethal when he's down, but I can assure you right now, Ruto is defanged. He has no poison. He has no teeth. He has to go with his entire regime.
Thank you so much, Dr. And another thing, and yeah, that was a very good question there. Another thing that I hear people speak about on the streets a lot is that, you know, the division that Yaradwed is expressing now, that, you know, they could be fighting each other, which doesn't appear to make sense because, as Dr. rightly says, they're one team. So constitutionally, if one resigns, the other has to go with it. So I think that idea of letting citizens think that they're fighting each other is just a propaganda there to try to bring in the tribe issue again, and just to just bring in divisive aspects into the conversation. Godfather. Godfather.
Thank you much. Thank you, Hillary, Maj, the host, Kingsman, and our key speaker, the General, Dr. Miguna, the speakers that have already given their views so far, as well as those who are going to give, and our honorable listeners. This is a very important conversation, and I just wanted to reiterate that this is the week, and as the General stated, the only option is to march forward to put more pressure, to apply pressure so that we can have the government go home in entirety. So we are trying to look into that. But as we look at that, the issues that are coming up, and these will be playing at on the ground tomorrow, are the magic of numbers. How then do we stick together if the tear gas comes? You know, Yaradeno, for instance, will be on the ground. Tear gas may likely disperse the populace. So is there any scientific way of trying to control the crowd so that they remain in numbers, so that we can try to reduce the numbers of the fatalities and the injured by the police? Because that is something that is still a concern as much as we must march forward. That is the first part. The second part, how can we document the atrocities that are being committed by the police? Because eventually we need to hold them accountable after the fact. Because we've seen, for instance, yesterday's interview of Mr. Ruto in our State House. He doesn't seem to understand what's going on. He seems to be living in a different world altogether. He doesn't have the empathy even, you know, when we talk about a child has been shot over 7 times or 8 times. His response is, isn't he alive? You know, these are some of the issues we're looking at. So, or we're looking at someone who we must get out of power by all means possible. And we expect that they're also likely to use a lot of force. So how do we document these atrocities that are likely to be committed by the police and other criminals, so that we can try and also hold them accountable after the fact, apart from the citizen journalism, which I believe most of them will be having smartphones to try and record this. But we see them, they have the advantage of having the CCTV cameras to try and get the looters. But how do we also hold them accountable moving forward? Thank you much.
Thank you so much, Godfather. Kingsman, go.
Imagine maybe just to contribute on the issue that is going around about the rift between the president and his deputy. I think that is their problem as KK. And even from my tweets, I've kept on saying that whether, like, I saw the deputy president saying that like his sons didn't approve him supporting the deputy president, then I think those are elite issues and they are not our issues. So whether they already, as a people, we have said we are tired with the KK. So if there is a rift between them, then it is when they are divided, the easier they fall. So it is better for us as a unit that they keep on having infights, because when they are divided, then it is easier for us to attack. So for me, let's not give airtime to this, because it's just a diversionary tactic that they are trying to. I don't think if these two, they know a lot about each other that they cannot let go at this point in time. So my sentiment is, let's not try to give oxygen or life to the sentiments that they are having between them. They are deputy, and that is their own issue. Our issue is about tomorrow, about Occupy. It's about our issues as a people united together as 57 million of us. So hata wakiamua sahi waenda wakulale mangumi huko State House Road, walimane. That is none of our, wapigane, whatever their problem is, we don't give a hoot. So let's focus on the cause, and the cause is about us being on the road tomorrow, in the streets, everywhere in this country, marching peacefully, 10 million of us.
Thank you, Kingsman. Thank you so much. Frederick, go ahead. Frederick, then young adults, then Deborah. On that order.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to host and the host and our guest speaker. Mine goes to the general. The citizens are not rebellious and they are not armed, but they have a second layer of safety net, which is courts. And courts have given direct court orders that police should not use tear gas, should not abduct people, but they continue doing so. As citizens, or as the courts, what should now the courts do, or judges do, to ensure that citizens are protected? Because these orders are given, no one takes them seriously. They are just treated as paper. So what should citizens do? Because there are no arms for them. Should now courts pronounce themselves and say that now also we are downing our tools so that they can be able to protect citizens, to ensure that these court orders have some effect? Thank you.
So I can answer that if you allow me.
Go ahead, Dr.
Hillary.
Yeah, might tell him to go ahead.
Can you hear me? Is everybody hearing me?
Dr. Go ahead.
Okay,
Can
so
you proceed? Yeah.
the short answer, my friend, I start with the last question. The short answer is the courts don't have the power to enforce their own orders, because their orders are supposed to be enforced by the police, the same police that are using tear gas, that are assaulting, that are maiming, that are abducting, that are torturing and killing innocent Kenyans. If you recall, in not so long a time, I had 35 court orders saying I was a Kenyan, I should be allowed to be in my own country, my house should not have been destroyed, I should not have been removed. They never obeyed them for 5 years. So don't think that the animal has changed. This wild beast is still the same one. The same Koome that was heading the Nairobi police is now the IG of police of Kenya. Most of the abductors and assaulters and torturers are now both in uniform and in civilian clothing, which means that we go back to what we were saying from yesterday, and I've been saying consistently on my part for years now. The power is in our hands. Ultimately, we have resorted back to the default, which is clause 1 of the Constitution. The sovereignty is now vested in us, and it's up to us to enforce all the laws that should have been enforced by the police. But of course, we don't have weapons, and we are doing so peacefully. And that's all we have to continue doing. But to do that effectively requires that we show up in large numbers. That's the only way to do so effectively. Essentially, to occupy all the spaces. And if and when we do, because I don't think that it's been done as effective as we can, then there will be no tear gas. The police will be rendered impotent. There is no police that can throw tear gas to 10 million people in the CBD, for example. That would be suicide. So they won't do it. So the next question was, with respect to, I don't know if it was the fact that they have weapons and we don't, or they can come with weapons and we don't. And I think my answer still remains the same, that if we are 10 million strong, that they won't be able to do that. I think that is where we are. That is what we have to emphasize, that everything relies on the turnout. And if we remain peaceful and people can see a regime shooting at peaceful protesters, the regime loses credibility and legitimacy. Regime falls on its own weight. Even the UN, and we do have people supporting us from all the way from the UN and many of these governments right now, they will denounce the government. It will be a pariah regime, and it will be subject to indictment, and their leaders will be subject to prosecution in many jurisdictions. There are other things that are happening that I will not disclose, but there are other things we are doing. There are other things we must do. So those who work for international organizations that are here and are listening, you know what to do. Those who are practicing law internationally, you know what to do. Many of them are aware of what happened to Pinochet in Spain. Pinochet was the biggest dictator and tyrant in the 1980s and early 90s. And a small magistrate in a small town in Spain arrested Pinochet in Spain. And that was the end. So don't think that Ruto is above the law internationally. He is not, and he knows that. And we are going to deal with him perpendicularly, both in Kenya and abroad. Be assured of that. We are not resting, we are not sleeping, and we will not let him go free. We brought down Moi, and he had to accept to bring multipartyism after 24 years. What is Ruto with less than 2 years? So there should be no fear. Some of us don't fear Ruto. I have to disclose, because this I did not disclose yesterday. I have spoken with Ruto myself 4 separate times about tracking, locating, and repatriating money that was stolen by Uhuru Kenyatta and stashed abroad. Because some of us have traced the money, we know where the money is. We know how much it is. And I have told them, this money is more than enough to wipe out the debt that you are complaining about and put Kenya on a trajectory of becoming a first world. And William Ruto has never reverted back to me. He told me once to put it in writing, and I did, and he never responded. So this is not a person we can give a pass. This is not a person we can excuse anymore. Instead of overtaxing Kenyans, we have told him what the solution is. We know where the money is. We know it is in its trillions. We know what the debt of Kenya is. We know this money is capable of wiping the debt and developing Kenya, and you don't have to tax anyone. Not to the level that he's trying to do. And he has refused to do it. Instead, he goes behind our back, cuts deals with people like Matiang'i so that he gets his cut, so that he can bank it in Dubai and other places. We know what they are doing. So I want us to be very, very clear. William Ruto is not capable of being reformed. Thank you.
Daktari, on that same note, I've had a problem about this thing called odious debt. We are being told we owe trillions of billions in terms of dollars. That is like external debt from IMF, from I don't know where. Is it possible we audit everything and then we know the real debt that has been used in development? Because I understand our constitution says that a debt, an external debt, should only be used for development projects, only and only then. There's a Eurobond that came in and it never got to Nairobi. We do not know the whereabouts of that money. I saw the interest mature the other day. I think they paid around 165 billion not long ago. So when we are able to do this, and now Ruto is out of the equation. Daktari, can we get this IMF and everyone, and even ask them if you know the Kenyan constitution, because ignorance is not a defense before a court of law.
But
if they knew,
my brother, to cut the long story short, let us not put the cart before the horse. Right now, we should focus on mobilizing so that, and making sure people are safe, and I have said safety is in our numbers, before we deal with the details of auditing the debt. You will not be able to get the records and be able to record competently until they're out of power. So our agenda right now is to remove Ruto. Then we can do all those other things. Because they have not disclosed this information in a credible manner. For example, they are saying they paid debt this amount. Have you seen the evidence of payment of debt? No, we haven't. They have not published it. They have not shown us the transactions. Another thing is there is money that they have been collecting from, let's say, unclaimed assets. People who just stole money and they are unclaimed. Or money that have been repatriated from people that stole, let's say, Chicken Gate. This guy's, the money was supposed to have been returned from London, England. We have not seen any evidence of that money, where it went, or even this money that EACC says it keeps recouping or recovering from thieves, or cutting deals and saying that they have gotten 100 or 200, 235 million or whatever, and they have recovered from this or that person. We have not seen any record of any of that. So there is a lot of issues, but we don't want to be lost in all those details. We have to be focused on the superstructure. The superstructure is the dissolution of government, and then the process of reconstituting a new dispensation, a new state, a new republic, so that we can start afresh. Kenya is not an independent state. Kenya is still a colonial state, and Ruto is a puppet of the West. Everything he does on behalf of Washington first and foremost, then London, then the other capitals. Kenya comes, if at all, in the footnotes. You saw it when he spoke yesterday. He couldn't even acknowledge 8 bullets on a miner. He couldn't acknowledge the boy who was killed in Rongai. for no reason. He couldn't even acknowledge that. He couldn't acknowledge 24 bodies at the morgue that the Kenya National Commission of Human Rights confirmed they have seen. He got into an argument over that, then got personal with Linus Kaikai over an issue that we know is so personal, and it involves a woman in the 1990s. Ruto is not a leader. Ruto is not a legitimate president and cannot govern. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Can I go briefly, Dr.
Who's speaking? Benji. Benji, I'll give you the mic in a few. So I just wanted to say that there are two people who have
Dr. Can I go briefly?
Benji,
please put your hand up. Put your hand up if you want to speak. There are lots of people who are on the queue, and then you will be given the mic.
So as I was saying, there are two people who have messaged me now. One of them is requesting Kenyans in Kenya to use VPN while spacing. And another one, as just said, he's from the candle lighting event of one of the fallen heroes. So he will add him to the mic, and then he can, also share about that. Hilary, you'd queued in Deborah, right? Deborah, go ahead.
Thank you, Hillary and Marge, for this. I just want to also add a sentiment on the infighting within the government. To me, I think it's a good cop, bad cop. So one cop is a good cop and the other one is a bad cop. So we should not be, have any side shows with that. That's their own problem. Now, a question that I have for Dr. Miguna. We watched when Keter was being abducted. What can the citizen do? Because people were there videotaping. There were cars also there.